for the very first time. It's new. It is big. It is exciting. I came here today for the first time and felt the excitement of the atmosphere in this brand new facility. And I am excited about having our Synod Assembly in this place. I think just by being in this place, we're going to have a very special spirit to the 2017 Assembly. Adding to that spirit, of course, is the fact that we are going to be celebrating the 500th anniversary of the Reformation. And this assembly will be the place and the time when the Northeastern Pennsylvania Synod does its events for the celebration. And you'll be hearing more about all of those things from those who are gathered here with me for this webinar. I just want to lay out a couple of things to get the ball rolling. I'm excited about our keynote speaker this year, as I have been in the past 2 years. Dr. Catherine Kleinhans is a faculty member at Augsburg College, and she is really immersed in looking at what it means to be a Lutheran in the 21st century. And she's going to be doing 2 keynote addresses in which she'll talk about how being unleashed for the sake of the gospel is a deeply Lutheran approach to living out our faith in Jesus Christ. I'm pleased that she was willing to come and be part of this, and I look forward to the presentations that she's going to make. We're also going to have as our church-wide representative the person who is in charge of the ELCA's World Hunger Appeal. Pastor Dan Rift is going to be our ELCA representative, and he will not only be able to give us a sense of life and ministry across the ELCA, but I'm sure will also be able to give us some helpful insights about the World Hunger Appeal. This is a part of our life together that has been well supported by congregations in the Northeastern Pennsylvania Synod. So I want you to have an opportunity to meet him personally. What I want to say before passing the microphone on to Pastor Jeff Karstens, who is going to be talking to you about our worship, is that this 2017 Synod Assembly is the top off to this 3-year emphasis on being unleashed for Reformation 2017. I'm very excited. Just before the webinar, we met and talked about the ways in which the plans have come together. I am really excited about the hard work these folks have done and the ways in which you are going to be, I think, discovering a very extra special Synod Assembly in 2017. I can't wait for you to get here and just feel the environment in this place. As you approach it on Route 380, there's just this massive building that kind of draws you right out of your automobile and pulls you in. And once we're in here, I think we are going to have a very meaningful and uplifting time together. And I think that's very appropriate for the 500th anniversary of the Reformation. So let me introduce to you Pastor Jeff Karstens. He is the coordinator of our worship team, and he's going to tell you about some of the plans that we have in store for worship. So, Jeff.
All right, Jeff, he's already on camera, so that's good. We'll center that up for you. Make sure that he's okay, and switch out our cameras. You could start your talking, and I'll get you up on screen here in just a moment.
Okay, Chris, thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Jeff Karstens. I get to be the convener and the lead, I guess, if you could call it, lead of our Synod worship team. And my team's got the exciting privilege of helping to plan worship again this year for our Synod Assembly. A major feature that we're excited about this year for our worship portion of the assembly is that our worship space will be completely separate from our meeting area. Our plenary meeting session where we do the business of the assembly will be in one large cavernous meeting hall. And in a separate meeting area, we will have our worship space where we will do worship on Friday afternoon. We'll have our major worship service with Holy Communion commemorating the resurrection as well as the Reformation 500 years ago. This also will be a space shared with our God's Playground, which we'll address a little bit later in the webinar. But we're excited to participate in this 500th anniversary commemoration of the Reformation with our assembly folded into worship, and worship is going to be an exciting part of the assembly. It's always been a central focus of Synod assemblies, and this year will be no different. Bishop.
I have a question. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Jeff, I know that all of the plans have not yet been made, but I know that there is one resource person who is going to be coming this year. Am I right about that?
Musician-wise, you mean? Musical.
Yeah, musical.
Musical, Mr. Mark Mummert will be one of our featured musicians to help lead worship. Mark has more degrees and accolades than I could possibly remember. Currently resides in Worcester, Massachusetts. He was part of the seminary staff at Philadelphia a few years ago and was instrumental in composing parts of the worship liturgies that we use in our current Cranberry Evangelical Lutheran worship books. He will be here again. He was here last year to lead worship, and he will be here again this year to lead the worship music. And we're delighted to have him back. He's a phenomenal talent.
He is, and one of the great things he did was put together an impromptu choir for the major worship service. Do you think that's a possibility?
Yes, we want to have a choir as we did last year, but expand on that choir, maybe grow it, have a little bit more intentional focus on that choir, and have a more featured role in the service.
So I'm going to ask another question, if I may. If there's somebody who wants to come just to sing in the choir, could they come up and participate?
Absolutely. As last year, I think there will be no auditions required. There will be a time after, for instance, notionally after a break in the plenary, anyone who wants to be part of the choir, come up to see the worship team or to see Mark Mummert during the break, and we would get it organized and sign you up. Okay. So you don't have to be a voting member. You don't have to be. Visitors are free. Yeah. Visitors can come and it doesn't cost to sing. Nope. Just bring your voice. All right. Jeff, anything else you want to say at this point? Or should we come back to you later? Or just jump in there, Jeff. Nothing left to add. Are you sure? Okay, very well. One of the things that we've done in the context of the assemblies where we have operated under the theme of Unleashed for Reformation 2017 is that we've instituted a God's Playground. And that has been a refreshing and meaningful addition to the time that we spend together. Some very special and extra efforts are being made for God's Playground this time around, and I want to introduce to you Barbara Balan, who is on our Synod Council and chairs the program committee. The program committee this year is taking responsibility for overseeing God's Playground, and I'm anxious for you to hear some of the ideas that Barbara's about to share with you. So Barbara.
Yes, Bishop.
Please, fill us in.
Okay. Well, I'm going to start with a question. For all the churches and all the personnel listening to this webinar, do you suppose that your church could benefit from another new idea or two We think the answer is probably yes to that. And what we're doing is providing all our churches with the opportunity to come and listen to ideas, but also to be able to give ideas. So one of the things that we have is what we're calling an idea corner. At the Idea Corner, we will have people sign up to say, yes, I want to stand up and talk about this brand new program we have at our church. It's gotten rave reviews. Or someone saying, yes, I'll take a few minutes to talk about something that's tried and true, and we always have a very good input from the community for this particular service project or whatever we do. So it's a chance for all our churches to be able to share what they have, what they do, the ideas, what works, what they'd love to try, and get some other ideas. Just again, it's this sharing that is so important to the health of all of our churches. So we have built that into God's Playground this year. We will have special places to walk up to where there'll be a question on a board, and you can take a sticky note and write your response and just stick your response up there on the board. We'll have one for just prayer requests. Someone who wants something special people prayed about, you have a chance to walk up there and write out your prayer, put it on the board. Anybody else walking by in God's Playground can read it and shoot up a prayer right then and there. So again, a way for all of us to help each other, to be attuned to each other in this assembly where we do a lot of good church business, but we also have a time to share and to build each other up. One of the things that our ELCA does is very active in water projects around the world and how crucial they are. I once asked someone, actually fairly recently, what do you think it would be like living in a house without water? We have, at the assembly, we will have a walk for water display where you can pick up a 10-gallon can empty of water and walk around the assembly area to see what it is probably like for someone in many of the countries in this world to have to walk miles for a source of water, which they can take back and use for their cooking and their cleaning, bathing. It's very, very different when you experience it yourself, even a small portion of what other people go through. So with that, you're also supplied with information about what the ELCA is doing with our water projects. And come away with a really good idea of how we are impacting our world. These are just a few of the things that are happening at God's Playground, in addition to the normal display tables we have for other good, massive projects that take place in our synod, again, done by WELCA and by some of the other groups. So I encourage you to come and spend time at God's Playground. Again, visitors, we're hoping for lots. And of course the voting members as well, to come over to God's Playground and get a sense of what wonder there is, especially when we share our ideas. Thanks.
Barbara, can I just ask you a question at this point? So like if a congregation or a committee in a congregation want to have a table or a display in the playground, they'll be able to work that out by doing what?
Yes, absolutely. The registration page for God's Play, well, that too. Yeah. God's Playground will come out in, we're hoping, the middle of March. And on that, congregations that have good ideas can just list their idea, what kind of space they need. If they need electricity, that's all on the form. They just let us know, and we will make arrangements for that.
In the past 2 years, we've had congregations and organizations provide displays and interactive presentations, and it's really been wonderful to see the way in which congregations are creative and are so willing to share with others the ideas that they have, and likewise to see people just kind of wandering about the displays and being captured by a creative and a new idea for them.
There's a lot of power in the sharing.
Yeah.
comes out good. So absolutely. We are looking for other wonderful ideas. The flyer that will go out has some ideas captured on it, but we are more than happy for congregations to raise their hand and say, yes, I will commit to, and then give us your idea.
And folks who have done this before can do it again, because there are always new people who come to the assembly. I'm always impressed in the early stages of the agenda. I ask how many people are attending the assembly for the first time, and the large number of people who raise their hands really strikes me as an opportunity for us to provide folks with not just an experience of the larger church, but also the opportunity to see ideas and share ideas. So if you've done it before, if you've been part of God's playground before, don't hesitate to do it again. All right?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Next, I'm going to go to another aspect of all of this. Debbie Fry has been doing the registration and other organizational pieces for the assembly, and just has all of this so well in hand that she can talk about it with ease. And I think because of where we are now, I think I've seen her talk with some excitement about being where we are. So I'm going to ask Debbie to talk a little bit about registration and, oh, by the way, Debbie became a grandmother for the second time about a week ago. So part of the twinkle in her eye is because of that. Congratulations, Debbie. Yay. Right.
So, like Barbara said, we are planning to mail the registration material out in the middle of March, and it's going to go to every rostered minister. So like last year, it's going to be mailed to church addresses only if the church doesn't have a pastor right now. So it's up to the rostered ministers to get the information to their voting members and to their visitors and guests. All the information will also be on the website at that same time, so you can register that way. It's much easier, it's quicker, and it will save you money if you have that capability. And speaking of saving money, this year's registration fee is $50 lower than it has been for the past several years. There's going to be a banquet on Friday night to celebrate the 500th anniversary of the Reformation, and also a Pocono Mountain cookout for lunch on Saturday afternoon. The Synod is going to be subsidizing the cost of those meals, so the banquet's cost to you will just be $20, and the cookout will be $15 per person. So you can be a voting member, you can enjoy fellowship at the banquet, and you can go to a cookout for less than the cost that it was just to register last year. There's no cost for visitors to register, and everyone is invited and welcome to come. Visitors can attend the plenary sessions, or they can enjoy Kalahari's activities. You'll have to contact Kalahari directly to make room reservations. Just make sure to tell them that you are attending the Northeast Pennsylvania Synod so you get our price and our block of rooms that we have reserved. 4 people can stay in the room here for the same cost, and all the people staying in the room will get passes to the water park. If you're staying Friday night and you come Friday afternoon, you can use the water park from noon on Friday until it closes on Saturday night. So you're actually getting 2 days of water park fun if you want to bring your families. It's helpful to us if visitors register, even though there's no cost, just so we get an idea of who's coming. And that's also the way that you make reservations for the meals if you're interested in coming to those. So now to the excitement part. When Pastor Kurt Garvey and I came here to look at Kalahari as a possible site for the assembly, we were impressed from the get-go. It's totally different from what we've been used to in arenas for the past several years, but all the differences are so positive. The hospitality here is just amazing, and there's just a feeling of happiness wherever you go in this place. Just as a side, this afternoon I went to purchase something and I wanted to use the exact change, and I was a dime short. I didn't have a dime in my wallet, and one of the employees was standing there and said, well, here's a dime, don't break another dollar. It was just so nice. It just gives you a good feeling no matter where you go in here. So we're hoping that you can join us. We're going to experience all the fun at Kalahari, and we're also going to conduct the business of the Northeast Penn Synod. And we guarantee that there will be plenty of time to do both of those. So if you have any questions or if you have any problems when you're registering, don't hesitate to call me or email me at the Synod office.
Chris, I think this would be a good time, if you can, to put up that slide that has the fun aspects of Kalahari on it. Debbie may know more about some of this than I do because you've been here more often, but the water park is amazing. You can see, this is one of the other parts of this building that you can see from way outside. There's the water park. That slide is very helpful.
Yeah. Hold on just a second.
That's all right.
There's a black light miniature golf course downstairs.
Okay.
There's all kinds of arcade games.
5 restaurants.
5 restaurants, 2 just opening. There's an outdoor walking trail.
So much is inside so that you don't have to go outside at all, which makes it very convenient, and everything is handicap accessible. Is that it? I can't see the writing so much.
You've got there's a 330,000 square foot family entertainment center, spa and golfing and adventure club, variety of food and beverage options. It's going to be cool.
If there are children in your family, children or grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and you can work it out to bring them along. As I think, Debbie, you said that, once they have a room,
right,
they have access to this amazing water park.
Mm-hmm.
And I think
it's the largest in the United States.
Largest water park in the United States. So this is an opportunity. This is an opportunity to be unleashed in big ways at the Assembly. Unleashed in terms of the ideas that are percolating for us while we're here, ways in which you can bring family and they can be doing their thing while you're in the Assembly. This is a remarkable place and gives us an opportunity to be together in a setting that, while we get work done, gives us an opportunity to do it together in a spirit that is good, I think, for us to experience together as a church. There is something to be said, I think, for the hard work that we all do in congregations, the focus that we give, the demands that are on us because of our commitment to our congregations. I think it is absolutely fitting that we have the opportunity to get away and be together in an environment that brings out fun, brings out having fun together in our life together as God's people. So I think this upcoming assembly affords us an opportunity to discover new dimensions to what it means to be God's people in challenging times. So I hope you see this as an opportunity at Kalahari to discover something exciting and fun, as well as deeply important. Well, more about that a little bit later, but I want you to meet Pastor Dan Bertel, who is going to be talking about a new part of our assembly for our 3-year emphasis. Dan's been working hard on this and has put together some great ideas. And without saying any more, I'm going to ask Dan to share with you what he's been working on.
Thank you, Bishop Zeiser. When we started to plan this assembly, we decided we wanted to celebrate in several different ways. We wanted to celebrate the past, the present, and the future of the church. And in doing that, we've looked at two different ways of celebrating. The first way that you're going to want to be part of is we have been in contact with the Lutheran Seminary at Philadelphia and the librarian emeritus of the seminary, Dr. Carl Kruger, and looking at the historical documents that are stored down at the seminary. And we've selected two of those historical documents that will be reproduced and available for sale at the assembly this year. And you're going to be really excited when you see these documents. They're going to be matted, they'll be available to be framed. The one document is the title page from the 1580 Book of Concord. It's a beautiful document, and it's going to be reproduced, and you'll have access to it. The second document is a portrait of Luther that you're going to find really unique. And I'm not going to say anything more about that except to say look for it, and I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised and be really excited to have both of these documents hanging on your walls, either in your offices or hanging someplace in the church. They're really very, very unique documents. The second way that we want to celebrate is to create an historical document of our own. And with that in mind, we're going to create a new directory. Now, this isn't just your average directory. We're doing some unique things with this directory. We have gotten 4 professional photographers who are going to be wandering and at liberty throughout the assembly. They're going to be taking photos that'll be candid photos, both in the plenary session and in the worship space. They'll also be taking candid photos in God's playground and in the banquet. And they will also, all those candid photos are going to become part of the directory. We're also going to be having an opportunity for all the rostered ministers to have new portraits taken. And these are not going to just be the average portraits that we've done in the past. We have worked with the seminary down in Philadelphia and have selected a number of other historical documents that are going to be arranged on a bookcase. And that bookcase is going to be photographed. That photograph will be enlarged and will serve as the backdrop for all of the portraits that will be taken. And all of those who have their portraits taken will be seated in front of this. They'll be posed in an interesting way. And again, I think these portraits are going to be something that you're going to want to have in your office, at the church. Your congregation is going to want to have a copy of these portraits, and they will be available to you after the assembly. So we're looking forward to having you come here to take part in the assembly, to celebrate with us, to worship with us, to be excited with us, to be part of everything that's going on, and then to become part of an historical document that will be something that you'll treasure as you go forward in your ministry in the church.
Dan, thanks very much. Appreciate the work you've done on this. It's already very complete, and yet there's still some ideas that you're working on that will make it even more exciting. We see this pictorial directory or photo book as something that will be of some historical significance in the life of the Northeastern Pennsylvania Synod. And we're going to work very hard to make it possible for as many of our rostered ministers to be part of the book as possible. So watch for some more details on that going forward. Let's see. Have we covered it, everybody? Kurt, is there anything you would like to share with us? Kurt, Pastor Kurt Garby is part of the Synod staff, and Kurt has been overseeing this process on my behalf. And his work at coordinating all of these folks and keeping track of the ideas has been vital to keeping things moving forward. And want to give you an opportunity, Kurt, to share your perspective on Assembly 2017.
Thank you, Bishop.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Over the last many years, I had the privilege of representing you folks in Tanzania. And the motif of Kalahari is all Africa. Can we show?
I'm glad you're mentioning this, Kurt, because our first question was, what's that big thing in the background?
It's the tree of life, which is a very common thing in Africa. I'm not sure how clear you can see the other things. The sculpture. There's an elephant over here. No, that's
Chris. The elephant is the one with the trunk, right?
I guess.
All the artwork is authentic. The owners of Kalahari travel to Africa twice a year and bring back actual art from Africa. You will be amazed. I feel as though I've returned to Africa. This is my third time here with Debbie.
I'm just rotating the camera. There you go, you're on camera.
Thank you.
It is amazing, though.
Please come June 2nd and 3rd. You won't be sorry. It is the work of the Synod, and it is in a fun environment. Largest water park in the United States. Did I tell you that before? And it's worth coming. So please come.
Thank you, Kurt, very much.
Thank you, Bishop.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I know that we want to have an opportunity for questions and responses, but there a couple of things came to my mind as folks were speaking, and I want to follow up on them really quickly. One of the things I want to mention is that please remember that every year we take up a special offering for world hunger. This is something that our bylaws prompt us to do, and we do it with great joy. So remember to bring a special offering for world hunger. The other offering we will be taking during the course of our main Eucharistic service, we're going to designate that offering this year for the new seminary that is being formed out of the Lutheran Theological Seminary at Gettysburg and the Lutheran Theological Seminary at Philadelphia. That new seminary is going to be called United Lutheran Seminary. The seminary at Philadelphia has always been an important part of our life together at the Northeastern Pennsylvania Synod, and we have supported it strongly. We need to continue that kind of support for United Lutheran Seminary. And this assembly gives us an opportunity together to make a special effort to send a gift, a birth gift to United Lutheran Seminary. So when we take the offering during the Eucharistic service, that offering will go to the seminary. So we ask you to be generous because the formation of future leaders for this church is a very important part of our task together. Let's see. I think that was the main thing I wanted to do. Just maybe give anybody who had anything come to your mind that you wanted to add.
I'm good.
Everybody's good? Okay. Chris, tell us, are there questions?
That was the main question. So if there's other questions that people might have, feel free to send them in. You'll notice, I'm going to convert this so you can see me here. You'll notice that on your screen there is something that's like a question mark. So you could just click on that question mark and type a question in that you might have about anything that was said. I will mention one thing, Bishop, that you said that the Reverend Dr. Kleinhans is from Augsburg. She's actually from Wartburg College.
My apologies.
In just a little detail.
No, it's very important.
But otherwise,
Wartburg College.
Wartburg College.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
That was the only thing I think we had to correct. And the idea that this tree is there. So I've got this kind of distant shot I'm trying to get at the tree. Let me get here. I flip my cameras. You should be able to see it a little bit better here. Right, and that one. There we go.
The tree kind of twirls its way up, is that right?
Yes.
It is a twisty tree.
And I think this is like called a baobab tree. I think that's the official name of it in Africa. It's really well represented. It's kind of in bronze here, isn't it? But it's one of the many artworks that are displayed throughout this.
I think it also ought to be said that it is very easy to get to Kalahari as you work your way into this part of the Poconos on Route 80 and Route 380. Once you get onto Route 380 or Route 940, the signs make it very easy to get here. This will not be a difficult place to find.
Very good.
Nor is it a difficult travel.
No.
It's very easy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. From almost every part of the Synod territory, I think the travel is easy.
And free parking.
Free parking, plenty of parking.
So I think the only other piece is these dates to remember.
Date is June 2nd and 3rd, Friday and Saturday.
Registration will be opening in mid-March. So coming up in a couple of weeks, we'll also be able to book rooms here in the facility in a couple of weeks. Its playground sign-up time is for May the 8th. And if you're submitting a resolution for the Committee of Reference and Council, that's due by May the 19th, and all those forms are out in your Synod right now, but you can also contact the Synod office if you need to get details on that.
I would also like to add that one of the things we have been working at steadily is diminishing the amount of paper that we use for the assembly. One of the reasons that we send one copy now to a congregation of the registration material is so that, any copies that need to be made, can be done in congregations, and we're not sending more copies than we need to any congregation. So the reason we're doing it is to try to be conscious of that. There will be some steps taken in our worship services this year that will diminish the amount of paper being used. We will have large print worship bulletins for services, but we're going to work very hard at doing much of the worship on screen. So these are some additional steps we're taking to drive down the amount of paper that we use for this very large event. All right.
I think we're good. We haven't got any other. Oh, hold on. There's an extra question.
Great.
Hold on.
Got another question.
The question is there any special business that you'll be dealing with this year?
Great question. Great question. Yeah. Obviously, we don't know at this point what the resolutions will be that will come before the Assembly, but we have two very important elections that will be taking place this year. We will be electing a new vice president of the Synod, and we will be electing a new treasurer. Both of these posts are critical to the life of the Synod. The individuals who, I beg your pardon, the individuals who hold these posts are folks who are called upon above and beyond the normal volunteer life of the church because of the responsibilities that are inherent in these two offices. We are encouraging that nominations be made for these offices. There is a nominating committee that is working on this, but we extend the invitation across the Synod for nominations to be made for both of these offices. It's important to be mindful if you nominate someone that, as I said, it should be an individual or individuals who have special capacities at leadership, and certainly for the treasurer's position in financial matters. It's important to us that our officers be as diverse as possible, so we're anxious for nominations to come from congregations. We need the best for these offices, and so we both invite you to make nominations and make sure when you make those nominations that you speak to the person and make sure that you have the approval to do this, and also to make sure that these folks have the capacities that are necessary to fulfill both positions. In addition, we'll also be electing some folks to other responsibilities as well. So it will be important to be mindful of the way in which what happens here on June 2nd and 3rd will have implications for the life of our Synod every day of the year going forward. So please make sure we do that work in ways that are well carried out. There was one other matter that I wanted to mention. Oh, we will be adopting the budget for 2017. For 2018. It will only be June of 2017, but we need to get the approval of the Assembly for the spending plan for 2018. And that is always a very important part of what we do, because it has to do with our capacity to carry out the mission of this Synod and the ministries of the whole church. So that takes special consideration. Those are just some of the important business matters that will have to be taken care of.
That's it. I think we're done.
Okay, very good, very good. Well, let me just mention that this webinar is being recorded, and so it can be seen in the future. If you want to show this to other members of your congregation, folks who might consider being voting members, please feel free to use this. Chris will be providing the access information to it, and I'm sure it will be available through the Synod's website as well. So, anybody with any last thoughts?
Bishop,
Yes.
how about letting them know about Kalahari, about Good Morning America broadcasting from Kalahari?
Ooh.
Thank you. Debbie, would you be willing to do that?
All right, I'm running it over. Hold on.
If you want to get to know more about, whoops, we just.
I knocked my iPad over.
If you want to get to know more about what Kalahari looks like, Debbie has some helpful information here.
All right, Debbie, you're
Okay.
up.
All right, if you want to see Kalahari up close and personal, Good Morning America on March 10th. It's a Friday, I believe. They're going to be broadcasting from here and have more information about it. They just recently opened the other half of the section with rooms, and the water park will be doubled in size by then. The 2 new restaurants will be open. So check it out on Good Morning America, March 10th. It's on at 7 o'clock in the morning. That's what DVRs are for.
Excellent, excellent. Thanks, Debbie, for helping us remember that. Well, if I could just provide a few final words to you as this webinar comes to an end. It's been my privilege to serve this Synod as its bishop, and as part of that, I get the opportunity to get into congregations and to meet members of congregations of this Synod from one end to the other and discover the faith that is in these folks, the ministries that are done by the congregations, and the love that people have for one another in their congregations. I see a very dynamic synod as I get around to congregations and meet the members of the synod. When we have an opportunity to come together, to the extent that we do each year for a Synod Assembly, all of the wonder of the faith and the energy and the love comes to this one place at one time. And I so much want as many of our members to experience the dynamics of a Synod Assembly in order to grasp how far and wide, how deep and how broad this church is. And what a difference it makes to get to know fellow Lutherans, sister Lutherans from across the Synod. I hope that this webinar has an opportunity to reach people who have never been to an assembly and can help convince them to come and experience what it's like, so that this church can be strengthened. Strengthened because, folks take 2 days and set aside those days to join with sisters and brothers in Christ as we work together, as we learn together, as we share ideas, as we worship together, and as we discover the ways in which God has unleashed the Spirit on the territory of the Northeastern Pennsylvania Synod. I'm thankful for every congregation in this Synod, for all our rostered ministers, and for every member of every congregation, because of the ways in which you proclaim in word and deed the love of God in Jesus Christ. God bless you in your ministry, and thank you for the time that you have given us during this webinar.